To install Kali, you go to kali.org, and then under downloads, you download the 64 version of it, and that puts an ISO file on your download folder. I'm going to show how I install this using VMware Fusion. So I go on the VMware and I click New, and I'm going to drag that ISO file that we just downloaded into here. And one word of caution, Kali is a very dynamic environment, and there are always new versions that gets created. So if things look slightly different from what you are doing, then I'm sure you will know how to navigate around that. Shouldn't change that much between the time I did this recording and you install yours. So I click here, continue. This is going to be Debian. So we select here Linux and Debian 64 bits. Legacy BIOS is fine. Where am I want to put this? Going to put it on this new Kali directory. Click Save. Now comes the options. In my system, I gave it 2 cores, is good. Doesn't do much performance. I gave it 4 GB of RAM. I'm done here. 1 network adapter that is going to be connected to my network. Your setup will be different regardless of depending on what you have. The hard drive, I'll give it 200 GB. That's plenty, and this allocates the space dynamically, so it should not be of a big impact. Nothing else to be done in here. You want to change the name, you click here on the general and you put whatever name you want, stuff like that. So I'm going to click play here. And now there are 2 options. In the past I used to install the graphic install, but I have some problems with the UI and the cursor being kind of silly. So I prefer to go on the install version with the I. And that takes a little longer, but doesn't have any issues with the cursor and the screen and the GUI and all that. So I'm going to pause the video until I get questions to be answered. Well, didn't have to even pause it here. So I select English, United States, American English. And the auto installer scrambles a little bit with the fact that I'm not supporting DHCP, and you shouldn't, because you're going to see that you need the address of the Kali machine for the attacks to call back. This is going to be the mothership, so you don't want this IP to change. So this is going to try and going to fail after a while. And you see it actually right there, it failed. So what we need to do, we click here, continue, enter. So we enter again to configure network manually. The IP address 172.16.60.124. Now you can make this IP address whatever you want on your network. In my case, with the artifact I have already prepared for the attack to succeed, they are going to have that hard-coded IP address. So if you want to use my artifacts, keep this address. If you cannot, I'm going to show you in a separate video how you make changes to make it work with whatever IP address you want. So we did enter. That's the net mask. My gateway is that one. I'm going to use quad 9. Hit enter. You give it the name you want. Think like an attacker, whatever you want to give it. I'm going to leave the name Kali. The domain name, I'm going to call mylab.com. Full name of the user. And then the user account is going to be me. The password. Retype the password. Eastern time zone. I'm going to pause the video until it asks anything else. That wasn't worth the pause. That was very quick. So it's going to be guided. Use the entire disk, taking all the defaults in here. I'm going to say yes. So I click tab, go to yes, make the changes, pausing the video again. I'm not using any proxy. Pausing the video again. After a while, these warnings say, yeah, go ahead for it. Hit enter. Scroll down, take that option. Pausing the video again. We are almost ready here. It actually tells you that you can remove the installation, the CD-ROM. You can, there's no need to do that, but if you want to, you can click here, and well, actually it doesn't let you remove that until, oh, it's actually removed already, so it's all good. Sorry about that. So you click here, continue, and the system is going to reboot, pausing the video until it comes fully back up. So we're ready to log in. My user ID was me. This is my password. And we are in. Most of the things you'll do, at least on this video series on Kali, will be from the terminal. Now, two things is that this is a regular user, doesn't have root privileges, but if you do sudo su and put the password, the same that you created, now you are Superman here, you can do whatever you want. A couple of things that you need to do. You need to move some of the artifacts that I created already with this calling address. Remember that the IP address, if config, I should have this in here. This is the 124 address, where it is. Here it is, right? Again, if you need to use another one, that's fine, but you will need to recreate these artifacts. And not a big deal, but it's an extra step. So you're going to find in the box folder two directories, one called my love and another one is resource files for Kali. From here, you're going to take all these components and, well, first I drag them into the OS, and now I'm going to move them inside. I'll show you how. And I took the resource file for 64 and 32-bit, and one is for Win 7, that is 32 bits, and the other one is for Win 10, which is 64. So let's actually move the attacking artifacts, these ones in here. Let's move them over here, and you see it has the, it comes already with the Vmware support and all that. So we have all those files in here. Now these files are on the desktop, under me on the desktop, right? You see the whole path in there. Well, we need to put, let me also bring the resource files. Of course, you can rename these, and in these files, in text is the callback address. In these other ones, you need to run the MSS Venom program that I'll show you in a separate video. It's a video called MSS Venom to generate these artifacts. So what we need to do is to move, actually click inside, click move, for example, Jose dot asterisk. We're going to move those under root. They need to be there. And you need to move the, put all the asterisk.exe, and we need to move the DLL as well. And these need to go onto the root because they are going to be automatically downloaded by the victim when they are phished. We need to put them at the root of the Apache server that has in Kali, where people inadvertently will go to get infected. So we type here var www.html. So we're going to move those files in there, and we're also going to move the DLL as well. Okay, now let's actually go to that directory, because this is one step that we need to do. Those files need to have the permissions to be downloaded and to be, used in whatever way. HTML, let me tap. So as we see, if we look ls-l to all the files in here, they don't have execution and download and all those things. What I'm going to be is going to be kind of overdoing things in here, but I'm going to use the change mode, and I'm going to give it the even the sticky bit. Okay, to all those files. Now as we repeat that ls command, boy, we have all the access in the world for these files to be actually used. The way you're gonna invoke the Meterpreter environment for the attacks, you're gonna, oops, I'm missing the M, Meterpreter, Metaexploit Framework console. So you're going to invoke this is going to load, and you need to provide a resource file. You can actually invoke the command and put /root and then the name of the resource file, and we're going to use, or you can also do it like this, resource /root for 32 bits you're going to use josebravo.rc, Jose, I think I call it, yeah, Jose.rc. For the 64 you're going to use the Jose64, and when you do that, these are the resource commands, the files in the resource command that are going to be executed for the attack. And notice that this is hard coded with the 124 address. Again, if you install Kali with a different address, you need to modify these files accordingly. One final check you may want to do to make sure that connectivity is fine and the access rights are fine and all that. You can actually go here. If you go here and do http://174.16.60.124, which is the address of the Kali machine, and you put here and this is case sensitive, of course, mylove.exe, which is the malicious file that we're going to use, and you hit enter, and if you set the permissions right and all that, actually it's 172, and you hit enter, you are hitting the Apache server, and the Apache server says, hey, do you want to download this file? This is malicious, by the way. And you say yes, and then it's going to be on your downloads directory. If you go there and you actually execute it, you're going to see here on the right that a session is going to be created, and more on that later, but this is for checking. If you say you want to run it, you say yes, and we had a session open in here, and if we go into that session, more on this, on how you use this command later, session interactive 1, and you ask for a shell, you're going to be having a command window into that particular machine. That concludes the installation of your Kali system. You are ready for this part of the lab.